from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening. Welcome to the National News telecast here on ChannelEye Rupavahini. I'm in Hettiarachchi. Joining me today is Vidhushini Satish Kumar. Today is the 8th of September and here are today's headlines. 37 state ministers sworn in. No ministerial privileges for the appointees. Social Security Contribution Levy Bill passed with 81 majority votes. Damita Aberatna remanded until the 14th. The national television secures the official broadcasting rights for the Legends cricket series. Lotus Towers set to open for the second time. Canada stabbing spree suspect dies in custody.
Well, in your local stories this evening, the swearing-in of new state ministers was held under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe this morning.
Top story.
The swearing-in ceremony was held at the Presidential Secretariat in Colombo. MP Jagat Pushpakumara has been appointed as the State Minister of Foreign Employment Promotion. The new State Minister of Finance is MP Ranjit Sembala Pitia. Parliamentarian Lasantha Alagiyawanna sworn in as the State Minister of Transport. The new State Minister of Investment Promotion is MP Dilum Amunugama. MP Kanaka Herath was sworn in as State Minister of Technology. MP Janaka Wakkumara received his appointment letter as the State Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government. MP Shehan Semasinghe is the State Minister of Finance. MP Mohan De Silva was sworn in as the new State Minister of Agriculture. The new State Minister of Economic Development and Housing is MP Thenuka Vidanagamage. MP Pramita Bandara Tennakone received his appointment letter as the State Minister of Defence. MP Rohana Disanayaka was appointed as the State Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs. MP Arundika Fernando is the State Minister of Urban Development and Housing. MP Vijitha Berugoda received his appointment letter as the State Minister of Pirivan Education. The new State Minister of Plantation Industries is MP Lohan Ratwatta. The President handed over the appointment letter of the State Minister of Foreign Affairs to Parliamentarian Taraka Balasuriya. MP Indika Anuruddha sworn in as the State Minister of Power and Energy. MP Sanath Nishantha was appointed as State Minister of Water Supply. Meanwhile, MP Siripala Gamlat was appointed as State Minister of Highways. MP Shanta Bandara is the new State Minister of Mass Media. The new State Minister of Justice and Prisons Reform is MP Anuradha Jayaratna. MP S. Vyalendran is the new State Minister of Trade. Meanwhile, MP Sisira Jayakodi was appointed as the State Minister of Indigenous Medicine. MP Pial Nishantha De Silva has been appointed as the new State Minister of Fisheries. MP Prasanna Ranavira is the new State Minister of Small and Medium-Scale Enterprise Development. The State Minister of Conservation of Wildlife and Forest Reserves is MP D.V. Chanaka. MP D.B. Herath received the appointment letter as the State Minister of Livestock Development. MP Shashindra Rajapaksa was appointed as the State Minister of Irrigation. MP Dr. Sitaram Vipula sworn in as the State Minister of Health. MP Khadir Mastan is the new State Minister of Rural Economy. MP Ashoka Priyantha was appointed as the State Minister of Home Affairs. MP Aravind Kumar sworn in as the new State Minister of Education. The new State Minister of Women and Child Affairs is MP Geeta Kumarasinghe. Parliamentarian Sivanes Durai Kantan was appointed as the State Minister of Rural Road Development. Meanwhile, MP Dr. Suren Raghavan was sworn in as the State Minister of Higher Education. The new State Minister of Tourism is MP Diana Gamage. MP Chamara Sampath Dasanayaka is the new State Minister of Primary Industries. Lastly, MP Anra Pascal sworn in as the State Minister of Social Empowerment. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and Secretary to the President Samana Ekanayaka were present at the occasion. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has instructed officials to make arrangements to celebrate the 75th Independence Day with pride and grandeur despite the current economic situation in a cost-effective manner.
President Wickremesinghe made these remarks during the first meeting of the 75th Independence Day Commemoration Committee held at the President's office yesterday. The 75th National Independence Day will be celebrated in the evening at Galle Face with inclusions of cultural elements and apart from parades and ceremonies of the armed forces and police. The President also informed the cultural elements that the showcase of Sri Lankan pride and youth-friendly elements should be included. It was also decided to invite foreign ministers of the SAARC countries as a special guest in a bid to strengthen the international ties. President Wickremesinghe advised preparing necessary backgrounds to promote the main state auditoriums, theatres and Colombo Nelumpokana Theatre, Tower Hall, Elphinstone and John De Silva theatres in the respective provinces at special prices for specified period. It is also planned to build 1,996 houses for low-income families in conjunction with the Independence Day, and these houses are to build in Paliagoda, Demetagoda, Moratua, Maharagama and Kottava areas. The housing complexes to be built in Kottava will be allocated for artists. The President also informed to immediately prepare the necessary system to provide all these houses based on priority and actual need and not on political basis or affiliation. Responsibilities were also assigned for officials to celebrate the 75th National Independence Day in a colourful manner with various cultural elements, to hold various competitions concurrent to the Independence Day, to engage in school children and youth committee at regional district and to provide provincial levels and to plan programs in such a way that people will feel proud of the country. It is suggested to the President to hold exhibitions under various other themes in all provinces of the island in line with the 75th Independence Day celebration and to hold bicycle processions between Dondor Point and Point Pedro. The President also proposed to issue a special commemorative stamp to mark the occasion. He further instructed officials to launch a program to highlight the articles published during the 1948 Independence Day celebrations in a manner that would inculcate a sense of pride in the hearts of the public. The President also advised that the relevant subcommittees be appointed under the chairmanship of the President's Secretary under the supervision of the Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena.
Public Utilities Commission says 900 megawatts of power supply will be unavailable for the national grid if necessary quantities of coal required for 3 coal power plants in the scheduled period. Commission Chairman Janak Ratnayaka emphasizes that the process to procure coal should be expedited to avoid the coal shortage. Well, he made these remarks during a media briefing held in Colombo today. Chairman of the Public Utilities Commission, Janak Ratnayaka, said that even though the Commission announced a 1-hour power interruption, they ensured a continuous power supply without an interruption. He also said that no interruption took place from September 3rd until today due to low power demand. Accordingly, he said that the Commission is expecting to enforce a 1-hour power interruption and ensure a continuous power supply for the next 3 months, if the coal shortage can be resolved. He said that 2 of the 3 coal power plants are updated and maintained accordingly. He also said that the water resources required for power generation are at adequate levels in a catchment area. The Commission Chairman pointed out that 75% of the power generation during the last 2 weeks have been provided through renewable energy sources. He said that with minimum power interruptions, the Ceylon Electricity Board should be able to reduce the existing losses and normalize the services.
Popular artist Damita Abeyratne has been remanded until September 14th. The relevant order was issued by Colombo Fort Magistrate Court. She was also taken into custody by Modar police last night. Damita Abeyratne was taken into custody following a protest held at Poldua Junction. She was taken into custody under the charges of forcibly entering the presidential secretariat in July. The Modar police handed over to Colombo Fort Police following the arrest. Damita Abeyratne was produced before the court after recording a statement this morning. Accordingly, Magistrate Thilina Gamage ordered the suspect to be remanded until 14th. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa arrived at the Colombo Fort Police this morning to inquire into the well-being of Damita Abeyratne. Speaking at the Parliament today, Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa said that Damita Abeyratne has not committed any illegal activity and only exercised her fundamental rights. Therefore, he requested to end the state-sponsored violence. He then raised the concern on the way to work together under such circumstances. MP Nama Rajpaksha said that if an individual has committed an offence, then an individual should be penalised under the law. Therefore, he urged to allow law enforcement agencies to conduct their investigations accordingly. He said that parliamentarian was killed and many public properties were damaged. Accordingly, he pointed out the importance of an investigation. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said that if fundamental rights of Damita Abeyratne have been violated, then she has the right to seek for legal action in this regard.
The Social Security Contribution Levy Bill was passed in Parliament with a majority of 81 votes today. 91 votes were received in favour of the bill, while 10 votes were against. Parliamentarian Anurakumara Dissanayake, at the conclusion of the second reading of the draft bill, requested for a vote. Accordingly, the bill received 91 votes in favour and 10 against. Several amendments were made to the draft bill during the committee-level debate, and the third reading of the draft bill was approved without a vote. Budget 2022 introduced the Social Security Contribution Levy Bill as a measure to raise government revenue and rebuild the economy hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. This tax is levied at the rate of 2.5% upon the annual turnover is 120 million rupees on taxable turnover of importers, manufacturers, service providers and wholesalers and retailers. Well, the draft bill was published in a gazette on June 21, 2022 and presented to the Parliament on July 6th. Meanwhile, parliamentarians also debated on the issue pertaining to the violation of privileges of 13 parliamentarians of the ruling party who decided to sit with the opposition. Tallest self-supported structure in South Asia, the Lotus Tower, is a symbolic landmark of Sri Lanka.
Allowing for a new experience for the people of Sri Lanka, the operations of the Lotus Tower is planned to commence from September 15th. With the commencement of operations of the Lotus Tower, which was built at a cost of nearly $113 million, intends to offer the Sri Lankan public a novel experience. The tower is the tallest self-supported structure in South Asia, the second tallest structure in South Asia, and the 11th tallest tower in Asia and the 19th tallest tower in the world. A Chinese company granted $88.65 million, and the rest of the cost was borne by the Sri Lankan government. The loan installments are due to be completed by 2024. Already, $66.3936 million of the loan has already been paid. The Colombo Lotus Tower Private Company is a company established in March this year under the Treasury, and all its transactions are audited by the Auditor General's Department. The work on the Lotus Tower commenced in 2012. The construction work was completed and handed over to the Lotus Tower to the Government of Sri Lanka in February 28. Thereafter, the Lotus Tower Private Limited was established and the operations were entrusted to the company. The Chief Administrative Officer of the Colombo Lotus Tower Private Limited, Major General Prasad Samarasinghe, said that the Lotus Tower is planned to avail a new technological experience along with entertainment similar to those found in wealthy countries around the world. Among the attractions offered at the Lotus Tower are adventure sports such as skydiving and bungee jumping. Chief Administrative Officer Samar Singh said that so far 80% of the local investors and 20% of the foreign investors have joined investments opportunities at the Lotus Tower. The Chief Administrator has said that after 2024, Lotus Tower has created the necessary environment to ensure profitability as a company and plans to continue its operations without burdening the treasury. Chief Administrative Officer Samar Singh further said that it is planned to carry out all these operations more successfully from January next year. With the commencement of operations, anyone can avail themselves of the experience by purchasing a ticket. Tickets are priced at 500 rupees and 2000 rupees, while tickets for the foreigners are priced at $20. It is also planned to introduce a QR code system in the future instead of a ticket. The Lotus Tower operations have designed to meet the anticipated entertainment and recreational requirements of the public. The Lotus Tower is spread over 10.5 acres of land, will no doubt become an entertainment haven for the youth who desire adventure sports. Those visiting the Lotus Tower can experience pubs, world-famous restaurants and souvenir shops on the ground floor. The first floor is expected to be allocated for officers, and it is expected to be established a digital cinema hall. The third floor consists of a conference hall which can accommodate up to 400 people at a time. Meanwhile, an open floor has been designated in such a manner that it can be used for various entertainment activities. On the first floor, shaped like a lotus bed, the reception hall has been constructed that can accommodate about 400 people. The upper floor is equipped with a revolving restaurant, which no doubt will be a novel experience for the public. Further, the public will also have unique opportunities to experience a bird's eye view of the Colombo skyline from the highest observation deck. The Lotus Tower is also equipped with 3 of the fastest lifts in the country, made in line with Japanese technology. The public can also look forward to experiencing these unique attractions when the Colombo Lotus Tower commences operations on September 15th.
Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne says social media reports claiming that the government attention for Buddhist monasteries have declined are baseless, while he emphasized that the government is always committed for the betterment of the Buddha Sasana. The Defence Secretary made these remarks while taking part in a ceremony to unveil a newly built Buddha statue at Kumbhaka Sri Mahaviharaya in Horana. Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne rejected recent media reports which claim that the attention of the government on Buddhist monasteries had declined. He said that the revival of the Muhudu Mahaviharaya in Pothuil in Eastern Province is an example for the commitment of the government towards the protection of the Buddha Sasana.
Samak Janabalaige parliamentarian Dr. Rajitha Senaratne says the food security in the country has dropped to the lowest with the existing economic crisis.
Well, he made these remarks during a media briefing held today. MP Dr. Rajit Senaratne said that according to a study conducted prior to the economic crisis, there are 1.5 million families in the country without food security. He said that the President has promised to provide a nutritious pack through the budget. He pointed out that the 1.5 million families have now increased to 6.2 million according to the World Food Programme. Accordingly, he said that the President should take better decisions in this regard. Minister Susil Premajayantha says that the ministry is expecting to introduce practical English lessons from grade 1 in schools from next year.
The minister pointed out that a separate program is on the way to mitigate the shortage of teachers for the subjects of science, mathematics and English language, which has become a hindrance for the academics of children and ensure English language proficiency for the children. Minister made these remarks during a promotional program, English is Simple, held yesterday at the ministry premises. A group of teachers and students from 21 selected schools in Western Province and Educational Ministry officials took part in the program. Minister Prema Jayant said that the English language proficiency is essential for the education reforms expected to be introduced in the future with the inclusion of the technology. Accordingly, he said the practical English lessons will be introduced from grade 1 in schools starting from next year with the new reforms. It has been proposed to conduct mathematics and science in Sinhala and Tamil language from grade 6 onwards and to conduct other subjects in the English language. It has also been proposed to conduct mathematics and science subjects in mother tongues from grade 6 upwards and other subjects in the English language. The English is Simple program has been initiated with the aim to promote and improve English language of school children. Textbooks and CD based on the proficiency of school curriculum is expected to be distributed among students in secondary schools under the program. The Education Ministry has indicated that children across the country can access the e-Taksalawa website of the ministry to improve their language proficiency.
Well, now let's take a look at a few local news items in brief. Senior journalist Dinit Chintaka Karunaratne assumed his duties as the new Director General of Government Information. The event was held at the Government Information Department. The new Director General of Government Information, Karunaratne, has a sound knowledge and experience in the field of journalism, both locally and internationally. Secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media, Anusha Palpita, and former Director General of Government Information, veteran journalist Mohan Samaranayaka were present at the occasion. Indictments were filed at the Colombo High Court today against 3 defendants, including former Minister Johnston Fernando. Subsequently, the defendants, including the former minister, were released on 2.5 million rupees worth surety bail and 5 million worth personal bails. Further hearings will be held on October 21st. The first Pradeshya Perahara of the 66th Festival of the historic Gatambaru Rajamahavihara in Kottapola Matara paraded the streets last night. Well, stay tuned for foreign news coming up next.
To foreign news. A look at Canada. A suspect in a stabbing spree in Canada which left 10 people dead and 19 injured has died in police custody. Miles Sanderson, 32, experienced medical distress after the arrest in a motorway in the province of Saskatchewan following a high-speed chase and died later, police say. They gave no details. 10 victims remain in hospital. 3 are in critical condition. It is not clear what prompted Sunday's mass killing, which encompassed 13 separate crime scenes. Both suspects, Miles Sanderson and his brother Damien, 31, are dead.
Well, from Canada, moving on to some Indonesian research, the earliest evidence of surgical amputation has been discovered in an Indonesian cave. Researchers found the buried 31,000-year-old body of a young person that shows evidence of leg amputation. The grave itself was excavated in a cave called Liang Tebu, Indonesian Borneo, a place that has some of the world's earliest rock art. The find pushes back the origin of this complicated surgery by more than 24,000 years. After the procedure, the person was cared for by their ancient community for years until their death. Archaeologists say a detailed examination of the ancient body details, of which are published in the journal Nature, took place when the person was a child. Growth and healing of their leg bone suggests they recovered and lived for another 6 to 9 years, probably dying in their late teens or early 20s. Well, the UN Political Affairs chief says killing of 5,718 civilians, including 372 children, have been verified since the beginning of the war in Ukraine.
She said that the actual numbers are likely significantly higher. Briefing the Security Council yesterday, Under Secretary General for the Political and Peacebuilding Affairs, Rosemary DiCarlo, said that the statistics, though shocking, cannot convey the full scale of the tragedy.
As we are painfully aware, the war in Ukraine continues to rage. Since I briefed this council on 24 August, because of the fighting, at least 104 civilians, including 10 children, have died, and at least 253 civilians, including 25 children, have been injured, according to the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. This brings the total number to 13,917 civilian casualties, 5,718 killed, including 372 children, and 8,199 injured, including 635 children. These are only verified figures, and the actual numbers are likely significantly higher. All these numbers and facts, though shocking, cannot convey the full scale of the tragedy. But in the face of the international community incapacity to stop this senseless war, we must continue to record its horrific consequences as faithfully and accurately as possible. It is our responsibility, and indeed the very least we can do, to help prevent the war from escalating further and to deter other potential violent conflicts. We need peace in Ukraine, peace founded on respect for the UN Charter and international law. All wars are tragic, but none more than wars of choice.
The WHO chief says the number of weekly reported deaths by COVID-19 has dropped by more than 80% since February, but last week one person died with the virus every 44 seconds. Speaking to journalists in Geneva yesterday, Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, reiterated that the pandemic is not over and that this virus will not just fade away.
First, to the COVID-19 pandemic. The global decline in reported cases and deaths is continuing. This is very encouraging, but there is no guarantee these trends will persist. The most dangerous thing is to assume they will. The number of weekly reported deaths may have dropped by more than 80% since February. But even so, last week, one person died with COVID-19 every 44 seconds. You might be tired of hearing me say the pandemic is not over, but I will keep saying it until it is. This virus will not just fade away.
These vaccines continue to work incredibly well against preventing severe disease and death. The vaccines that were developed on the ancestral strain, the original virus that was circulating, continue to work. So getting vaccinated, making sure you receive all of the doses that you have, remains critically important.
That's the prospect that mucosal vaccines bring. Not only an opportunity to reduce the severity of infection, but an opportunity to reduce onward transmission of the virus. And that may offer us a much stronger prospect for control of COVID in the long run. But that remains to be seen because a lot of work needs to be done. We don't have access to that data yet. But we do look forward to that, and we encourage the kind of work that develops new innovative vaccines that allows us to go to the second and third generation of vaccines that we may need ultimately to deal with the end of COVID and to deal with future respiratory virus threats.
News. We're looking at the cricketing news. The Asian Cup tournament is currently underway. Today's encounter is between Afghanistan and India, two teams out of the Super 4. Yesterday's thrilling encounter between Pakistan and Afghanistan saw Pakistan securing their place in the finals against us Sri Lankans on September 11th encounter in the finals.
Batting first, Afghanistan managed to score 129 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in their stipulated 20 overs. Ibrahim Zadran scored 35 while Hazratullah Zazai scored 21. Harif Rauf picked up 2 wickets for Pakistan. Putting the Pakistani batters under pressure from the beginning, Afghanistan bowlers showcased brilliant bowling performance throughout the match. Shadab Khan scored 36 for Pakistan. Shazak Farooq and Farid Ahmed picked up 3 wickets each for Afghanistan. Pakistan chased the target of 130 runs in the 19th over, claiming 1-wicket victory accordingly. The finals of the Asia Cup trophy will be held on Sunday between Sri Lanka and Pakistan. Meanwhile, a controversial fight occurred between Afghan cricketer Farid Ahmed and Pakistan all-rounder Asif Ali during the match. The fight was ended with the mediation of the umpires. However, following the match, 2 groups of fans from Pakistan and Afghanistan had behaved in a disruptive manner. The relevant footages were released to social media last night.
And on that note, for some other cricketing news, on a positive note, actually, Legends cricket team of the Sri Lankan cricket team is all set to begin their Legends cricket team tournament in India this Saturday.
8 teams are competing in the 2nd edition of the tournament. Veteran cricketers who had represented their countries in the international level and retired from the game of cricket are taking part in this tournament. Sri Lanka is competing in the tournament under the captaincy of T.M. Dilshan. Sri Lanka expected to compete against Australia on the 11th and against England on the 13th. Sri Lanka will take part in 5 matches in the preliminary round. The tournament will conclude on October 1st.
That's it for tonight's English News telecast. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Good night.